get that information. We then, the architect does a pre-qualification, because one of the things that we want to make sure is that if we are awarding a $1 million contract, that the vendor is reputable, can do the work, can do it in a time frame, because we've only had the summer to complete these projects. So there are things that we take into consideration during, because we want to make sure that they understand the scope and the size of the projects as well.
But definitely, this kind of maintenance construction projects, I think we can able to find some good qualified local construction companies within. We just want to give a little more hands-on or opportunity for them to participate. Otherwise, they will never able to participate or never know how to bid a such RFP for school construction projects. This is where I'm hoping maybe we can come in, put it in a local newspaper somehow, and let people know, the business know about this opportunities coming, so hopefully they can able to participate or educate them to kind of handheld them to help and able to participate on this bidding and so on. Because we're just sending out the RFP to all those listings, many of them doesn't care or does not know how to access it anyway, so only limited this construction business will be participating. So, maybe we can...
Right, and like last summer, I believe our masonry contractor was actually a local business. So there are times when, the local contractors are in fact companies within our community, because as you stated, within our community there are a number of construction companies, and actually several large construction companies.
So again, be more cautious and try to give more opportunity to our local businesses, however we can.
Jen, I agree that it's so important for us to put a hand out, letting them know. But anyone that is active in their business, they should know this process.
To be very...
Then that concerns me. Because they should know, and they should be aggressively looking for that business.
Well, but you know what, like university businesses or even city or state level businesses too, there are many good qualified businesses, but because of the how to get certified or
This is money in their pocket if they're certified. They go after that. I was a caterer. I went to every kind of place. I would be going here. You know who does your business. You know who needs your kind of product. And you go for it. You get the certification.
I think we could ask Mary to explore if there are any reasonably quick and easy ways to get more information out there. I know we put it on our website, but anything you can do to facilitate that, Mary, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, but we want to work with local people. We want them to feel encouraged to try.
And if anything, a brief event at some point, if that would...
Why couldn't we be
Yeah,
proactive?
if that would provide an opportunity for the school district to have better service from local companies, I mean, why not? Obviously, if you have it that's not well attended, then it might not be something that we'd want to repeat. And certainly we wouldn't want to spend a whole lot of money, I think, making this happen. But,
agree both of you heartfully. But as for our school district, I think maybe it is our responsibility in a way to give, again, more of an opportunity. So that's why educational...
We want your business.
Yeah, maybe like the business affair, and then let people know about such. This is a huge $6 million project, so coming, that's something that the local business can really tap into seriously. So
We can do similar to what perhaps we did when we had a diversity fair. We advertised it, we can local, but then we're not allowed to limit who comes. So if there is somebody from outside our boundaries that comes, they're allowed to attend because
we're not trying to.
But we are targeting then our local companies to learn more about what we're doing.
Yeah, we're not trying to block the outside of the businesses too, but we are trying to at least let the local businesses to know about, aware about.
And I would reach out to the
participate.
chambers of commerce probably and let them know this is what we're doing.
Have a vendor fair here.
Yeah.
Mary, so if you would reach out and do that and get back to the board members who are interested in this, that would be terrific.
Well, to all of us, right?
Yeah. Pat put it in a Friday notes.
Put in Friday notes.
One more item on the repairs, I see there, replacements, excuse me. You've got them pretty evenly balanced amongst the three schools, and I notice you're replacing the 50-year-old stadium exterior stadium lights at the two schools that are older than 50 years. So not needed at Main South?
Main South just got lights 2 years ago.
Main South
Talk to
hasn't
me
had
in
'em.
48 years, yeah.
Right, they never had them.
Yeah, they
didn't
never
know
had
that.
Did you say 2 years ago?
Well,
Okay, yeah, you know what, you're probably right.
I think it was 09.
Yeah, but, 4 or 5 years ago. But they hadn't had it for the first 45 years in existence, they didn't have lights.
Okay.
So Mary, I know we do have a plan for this and budget for this, many years ago and so on, but where is this money really coming from, general fund, or do we have a construction fund specifically for this project?
So if you look on each page, the two primary sources are the health, life, safety funds. In order to use health, life, safety dollars, it must be approved by the state as a health, life, safety project. Many of these items are because, for example, the roofing projects, because we've gone through that. But the other one is the operation and maintenance fund, which is generally referred to as the general fund. So it's part of a, you'll notice that if you looked at the tax levy over the last several years, we've been increasing the levy percentage that goes to the operation and maintenance fund to come up with a funding source for these capital plans.
So we do have a funding available at this time to able to
Yes.
use $6 million instead of put an extra handout to taxpayers or community property owners and so on, or students. In fact.
And this is covered within the budget that we
Correct.
passed. that we're on. Any other questions? Any? Call the roll.
Lee,
Aye.
Owen. Aye. Sullivan.
Aye.
Peller. Leys.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. Okay, the next item is approval of bids and awarding of contracts. We only have one item on here, and that is grass flowers.
I so move.
Second. Any questions or comments?
Are they local companies?
They are just south of here. I want to say Lyle, but I can't remember.
River Road, Grove Mountain? No, that's right.
That's the theater.
And we get money back, they give money back.
Correct. But I think they're from Lyle.
And why don't we do it?
We use a local business called CR Flowers.
Yay. I know them, yeah, they're good flowers.
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Leys.
Aye.
Owen. Aye. Childers.
Aye.
Lee. Peller. Sullivan. McGrath.
Aye. Item 18, intergovernmental agreements, the PCAB agreement with Eric, any questions or comments on this?
Does this replace a prior intergovernmental agreement?
No, we have had an unofficial agreement, so this formalizes
Do you
our
have agreements in place with Displays and the related, like City and 62 and so on?
No, we have,
All unofficial, this is the first official one, or?
correct, well, we work, the only municipality that we work with that is interested in working with us on PCAB appeals is the city of Park Ridge.
But 62 shares it's.
62 and 63 share, we split our legal fees 50
And
and
is that all run
costs.
through Frantic?
It's all run
The
through Frantic.
64 you have a different firm. but-
Nope,
Oh,
we all do Frantic, for 62, 63, 64 for PCAB.
but for their general counsel, is it Frantic?
I think their general counsel is somebody else, but for PCAB, it's Frantic, so we
Okay,
can flip
so
it
this
up.
is the first intergovernmental agreement related to PTAB.
Correct.
Now, we've talked about this before, and I think you actually produced a memo to this effect before, but did you at some point do like a profit and loss on?
So what
PTAB
I've
ventures?
done the last 2 years is in January, I bring the outstanding list of the PTAB cases and then how much we've spent each year in legal fees to defend them. And it's a fraction,
Yeah,
what
I
we
just
spend.
think it's important to have that information.
Yes,
before-
but I will tell you that the number of PTAB cases is spiking up this year.
And is that, and Aris Dalianis is still handling just about all of that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
He lives in the district, just right down the
They
street.
went to Maine East, didn't they? Didn't they? Maybe went to Notre
I
Dame.
don't know where they're, so.
Just know he lives over on Lincoln.
His parents live here too.
You said this is with the city park rated, but.
It's, the
Everyone's
library,
signing this.
right, the library is, the other one's the component unit. 64 is also signing on to this.
The city, the park district, the library. the-
Correct, and-
They're all part of this. It's not
Correct.
just- It's not just the city.
Correct.
And
But it's the city that came to us,
Okay. But everybody's part of this and everybody chips into it.
and it's just the
percentages.
expenses,
Right.
not the legal fees.
Right.
Because,
Everyone has to retain, is everyone required to retain their own attorney? It says that they
They shall retain separate counsel.
shall, okay?
Essentially.
you know,
I don't wanna be footing all the legal bills because we.
well, and we're not, and that's kind of why we've done it informally, is if they will split the cost of appraisals, of
Okay.
pre-valuations, but we're not splitting legal fees because we have separate legal counsels.
Okay.
And we have, as District 64 has the highest percentage of the, because they.
Right.
Biggest piece of the bill. Right. Are there any other questions or comments on the intergovernmental agreement? No, Jimmy, take the roll, please.
Owen. Aye. Sullivan. Lee.
Aye.
Lace.
Aye.
Childers. Heller. McGrath.
Aye. Item 19, resolution abating taxes levied for 2013, is there a motion?
So moved.
Everyone.
Well, luckily I had a chance to speak about the abatement a few items back, but most of you know me, know that I won't mind speaking a little bit further about it.
I don't know.
And I guess what's exciting is that our administration works so hard to manage the community's resources effectively to allow this to happen. And then the administration board worked together to make an abatement happen. My understanding is that we also have capacity for abatement, it looks like next year as well. So in all likelihood, assuming that measure finds favor with the board a year from now, we'll be looking at 3 years in a row, which I think is pretty significant from the perspective of honoring the community that provides all of this money to the school districts to use to provide an education for the students of our community. So obviously our first obligation is to fulfill that responsibility of providing the best education possible, and we do that very well here in District 207. But the other part of that is managing resources effectively, and very proud to be part of a board of the school district where resources are managed very efficiently, and we try to extract every possible savings that we can, and obtain more savings whenever possible, while trying to maintain very old facilities and ensure that it's a great place to learn. So, thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank the administration, I know they've worked very hard on this, and the finance committee for their work on bringing this resolution forward. Are there any other questions or comments?
I have a comment. I'd like to thank Yara for being the first person to bring this up and to push it. Thank you for saying so.
And I'd like to thank the new finance committee chairman for continuing.
I think I'm supposed to thank somebody.
Mutual Admiration Society.
I'll call the question.
Appearing that there is no additional discussion required, if you call the roll, Cindy.
Lace.
Aye.
Sullivan. Owen.
Aye.
Lee. Childers. Heller. McGrath.
Aye. Item 20, the use of facilities. We are only going forward with the waiver of facility fees for SCORE High. This time I had raised some questions about academic educational resources, and a revised waiver form will be brought before the board next time. So do I have a motion on
Yes.
the waiver of facility fees for SCORE High?
Yes.
Mary, Sean, are there any questions or comments?
So school board, the superintendent and all staff are comfortable with
Yes.
the recommendation, no doubt about it.
very helpful for students. They're basically volunteering their time.
And we have the time for F because they're not gonna do it until February.
That is correct.
Yes, that's
So we're
correct.
just doing score highs.
Yes,
Yes, that's
yes.
correct. Just, that is the one that takes place over winter break. Are there any additional questions? If not, can we call the roll, please?
Owen.
Aye.
Heller. Lees.
Aye.
Lee.
Aye.
Childers.
Aye.
Sullivan.
Aye.
McGrath.
Aye. Next up, we have calendar items. Note on here that the winter break is from December 23rd to January 3rd, but that a list of days when the administrative offices are closed. And our next board meeting on January 6th, I believe you said there's an education meeting that you are thinking will be at 5 or 5:15 on January
Yes,
6th?
yeah, we'll just confirm that time. One of the board members is gonna be on a plane and hopefully it will be arriving on time. So likely 5:15.
15, you're very optimistic there at that
And
time
I'm
of
looking
year.
for a ride from O'Hare so I can be on time to the meeting.
Carla, is there going to be a policy meeting? Because I know we have this issue that was brought up tonight. The policy committee.
Yes, we
I will
Could
contact
take,
the policy members,
Okay.
because I have a list of about 11 or 12 policies to look at, so
And now 12?
15 minutes.
Okay, so if we could get something scheduled before the next board meeting, that would be very helpful. I know it's good, it's kind of crowded with the winter break coming up. Anybody else? Mary, do you need a finance committee meeting?
It will depend upon if I get some information from,
Those are already all scheduled, aren't they? The finance-
they are all scheduled. December's might be able to be I don't know yet, I'm waiting for some information.
Any other meetings we need to schedule? Any other events? Okay. All right, thank you. Item 22, communications, public comment. I have a card here from Maria. If you could state your name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Maria Tijerina. My address is 29W405 Butternut Lane. And first of all, I'd like to thank you all for your time. This is my first District 207 meeting, and I really appreciate, especially as someone who has allergies, I loved watching how the discussion between Mr. Lee and Ms. Mary, I'm sorry, I mispronounced her last name, about how having someone who has an asthmatic child who's very ill and sinuses myself, and I work with children, the allergy issue, but the cost and the sound, and I've got a little guy, my little grandson is 2.5, and tomorrow is his IEP meeting, where the little guy wears splints, and he's waiting for more, because if he were to walk from that chair to this gentleman, he couldn't do so without falling. And yet, in his nursery school, at 2.5, he is actually no longer allowed to attend it.
I'm sorry. We'd really like to keep comments to 3 to 5 minutes at the very most.
Yeah,
If you could, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And so with this example, you have a little guy who cannot walk across the room without wearing splints, and yet, in his Sunday school, he can, when a child is crying, he's the one to come over and bring a doll to a little girl. I see that same diversity here. You have a little guy who can't walk, and yet he can't speak. He's 6 months behind in his speech. And my example with that grandson with the school, what I see before me is the diversity and how you all work together as a team. And I see that this must be why Mr. Peterson, who I've known his wife since we were little girls, his sister-in-law is my best friend. And the diversity between public school, private school, half public, half of each. I would just like to, my comment is to encourage you to contact our district where I'm from. I live in a very sought-after school district, which is very expensive, District 200, down in DuPage County. I know Naperville is very sought-after as well, but we personally couldn't afford DuPage or District 200's Wheaton home, so we bought Warrenville. Our school is so diverse that our grade schooler was allowed to attend partial day for first grade because my daughter sitting back there had a medical condition where she was missing over 20 days of school. So I worked with the principal and the superintendent in one quick meeting in her office just to homeschool her for partial days because she was missing so much school due to this medical condition that I would just school her for her core subjects at home. At the high school level, our friends, in order for their children to participate in sports, and I'm not suggesting you do this, I'm just saying I would like to encourage you to talk to other districts to see what works, what doesn't work, and just keep an open mind, because I know it's working out there. We have friends that do it, our high school friends that go to school part-time, and they have to, because of the grade issue. I'm not suggesting, again, like I said, that you do that. At our middle school level, my daughter has been in public school her whole life. Her 21-year-old sister has been in our public school her whole life in District 200. And so they've always been public school, have enjoyed a variety of activities from Spanish club to sports, to band, to track. And if I were to stand 3 kids up here, or 3 flags, or 3 pieces of paper, they're all very different. But to say one couldn't participate or have the same opportunity as the others, I think Nick Peterson could really benefit from if your students are a representation of what I see before me, of diversity and different people working together, then I believe Nick Peterson could benefit from that, as well as what he could gain as well as give to your community. And so to help them avoid some of the pitfalls, I would just encourage you to contact your school district. I'd be happy to give you our superintendent's name. I know it's working very well from the first grade level to the high school level. They do different things. And I myself was offered by the band teacher. I was asked, would you like to bring your daughter in for 6th grade band or 7th grade band? Just for the one subject if she wanted to be in band. And that wasn't even track or cross country. And so, like I said, there's very minimal involvement, there's maximum amount of involvement, it's really all up to you. But I really think that from what I see here going forward, from the strengths that I see before you all, even though I'm not part of your district, I encourage you to talk to other districts and find out what's working, what isn't. And I think moving forward, I think you're all gonna be really happy with what you put forth and what you can offer your community as well as the Peterson family. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. There are any other parts? Thank you. I'd like a motion to go into closed session for the purpose of review of closed session minutes, collective negotiating matters, and setting of a price for sale or lease of real property.
So,
Lees,
Aye.
Owen, Childers,
Aye.
Lee, Sullivan, Heller, McGrath.
Aye. We are in closed session.